everybody. I want to tell you a little bit about Indivisible Greater Grand Rapids and how we're coming together with the artists in our community. We're a local grassroots movement that is part of the nationwide Indivisible organization. There are 4 pillars that define our actions and activities. We educate the public about current actions, about current legislation and policies that affect us all. We activate people to speak out about legislation and policies that do not serve all people. We hold politicians accountable. We seek to protect vulnerable communities and protect our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The principles and values that guide our work of Indivisible Greater Grand Rapids are: action perpetuates justice. Everyone deserves to reach their greatest potential. None of us are free until we are all free. Silence is complicity. Listen to and follow those most impacted. Dismantle oppression everywhere and in every way. Thank you, artists, for being here and showing us what we need to know, that which has been hidden from us or blinded us to the realities we need and should be facing in this time. You will see art that will make you cry, art that will make you ask why, art that makes you a witness to our current realities, art that may make you stomp your feet and clench your fists, art that will spark hope and joy, art that will move you to do something to help save and protect our democracy. What a gift each of these artists have shared with us by being vulnerable and allowing us to see, to hope, and to dream. The artist's job is to be a witness to his time in history. What is the purpose of the arts? The arts are a tool for civic engagement, to encourage participation, build social cohesion, inclusive engagement, social critique, challenging power, exposing injustice, challenging authoritarianism, mobilizing resistance, and imagining alternative futures. Some examples of the arts in history: in ancient Greece, the theater in Athens was a platform for debating and exploring political and social issues. The civil rights movement, artists used their work to challenge segregation and inspire activism. During the Cold War in the Soviet Union, Alexander Solzhenitsyn used literature to expose realities of repression. Latin American dictatorships, Chilean folk music, Victor Jara, used songs to support democracy. In the Arab Spring, graffiti artists transformed public spaces into canvases for dissent. When the arts are attacked, democracy is at risk. The arts help us see what is really happening. Unlike propaganda, art allows the public to discuss political agendas through a visual medium. Art is a tool to help express the public's wants and needs. The Michigan House of Representatives passed their version of the fiscal year 2026 budget, which includes devastating cuts, most notably the complete elimination of state arts funding. This proposal would erase $10 million in support for arts and culture. The arts are not wasteful spending. The U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis reports that arts and cultural production contributes $20.5 billion to Michigan's economy and sustains 144,000 full-time jobs. Over 12 million people attend Michigan arts events yearly. Over 4 million children participate in arts education and arts community programs. Eliminating this investment harms every community, every district, and every family in our state. Arts and culture is not wasteful spending. They preserve our history, shape our communities, fuel local economies, and inspire the future. They are central to Michigan's quality of life and to the connected, vibrant places that attract people and businesses. Roads and infrastructure matter, but what good are they if they lead to communities stripped of the arts and culture that give them meaning? We urge you to advocate for the reinstatement of arts and cultural funding in the state budget, and you can take action by contacting your state senator. Art inspires change in culture and society. Please welcome our community artists as they share their contributions to us here in Grand Rapids. Professor Donnelly teaches art history at Grand Rapids Community College. The courses she teaches include the history of modern art, history of photography, history of architecture, history of interior design, as well as general survey classes. Her focus is primarily on German art, particularly, she will tell you about it because I can't pronounce any of the German words. And she is particularly interested in artists that use their works for political, religious, and cultural change. Please welcome Professor Donnelly.
I'm turning my timer off so I see my time. All right. So art acts as a mirror that reflects our world, and thus can call out injustices and expose societal ills. Using art as a tool for social change is no easy task. It takes a deep concern for humanity, bravery, and a willingness to accept critical backlash. Here, I provide a thematic approach of examples of such artists through time. My first theme is war. Raoul Hausmann's Spirit of Our Time, Mechanical Head from 1919 is a criticism of the treatment of German soldiers, showing them as automatons, robots, no brain, just a number, not a name. Showing standard issue decoder and cup with medical references and symbols of their impending mortality. Picasso's Guernica from 1937 details the bombing of the Spanish city by German allies of the Spanish right-wing nationalist forces during the Civil War. Black and white emphasizes the violence. Banksy, Rage, the Flower Thrower, 2003. It recalls images of street protests. A masked man appears not to throw a Molotov cocktail, but a bouquet. This was inspired by Judith Hill's poem, Wage Peace. Next theme, treatment of the underrepresented. Bisa Butler, I Go to Prepare a Place for You, 2021. Quilts are long regarded as lower-class blankets made from threadbare clothing, created by people of color out of necessity. Butler uses symbols of the Underground Railroad and African heritage to depict Harriet Tubman herself, as well as the heritage of the artist herself. Jean-Francois Millet, The Gleaners from 1857. The image of backbreaking labor was criticized as a reminder of the 1848 workers' uprising in France. Gleaners, the poorest of the poor, are a biblical reference to Ruth, considered a heroine. Women. Barbara Kruger's Your Body is a Battlefield from 1989. 1980s bold advertising techniques call attention to governmental and cultural dominance over women's bodies regarding unequal pay, the sexualization of their bodies, and the pro-choice movement. Amy Sherald, Transforming Liberty. She is the one that did the official portrait of Michelle Obama, 2024. In July of this year, the artist canceled her exhibition at the Smithsonian, citing censorship over this work modeled after a transgender artist. The museum showed concerns and suggested that the work be accompanied by pro- and anti-trans views, spurred by the Trump administration's criticism. It would have marked the first solo exhibition presented of its kind by a Black contemporary artist. Sherrill told the New Yorker, that Transforming Liberty, quote, challenges who we allow to embody our national symbols and who we erase. Taxes, we all love our taxes. Honoré Daumier's Gargantua from 1831, political cartoon, as you guys can see. His criticism of Louis Philippe and the extortion of money from the French poor led to his temporary imprisonment. Also in prison for his work was John Hartfield. Both of these works are done by him. The first is Hitler Swallows Gold and Spits Junk, 1932. The other work, in translation, The True Meaning of the Hitler Salute. Little man asks for great gifts, millions stand behind me, 1933. Hitler converts financial contributions into garbage to stir up the German people. His new tax, the Reich tax, generated significant revenue from the persecution and forced immigration of Jews. A price was put on Hartfield's head because of these works, and he fled to Prague. Gun violence. Burden's Shoot from 1971 is a performance that had a purposeful shooting of the artist who protested gun violence and our involvement in the Vietnam War. Micah Bazant's Protect Kids Not Guns from 2018. This is a protest poster related to our current school shootings, the love of gun culture, and the, quote, right to bear arms. Police brutality. Kolwitz's In Memoriam of Karl Liebknecht from 1919 to 20. He was a German communist leader murdered while in police custody after an uprising in 1919. Then Sean's The Passion of Sacco and Vanzetti from 1931 to 32. These were two working-class Italian immigrants who were found guilty of an armed robbery and murder with only circumstantial evidence. The trial was criticized for racial discrimination, right-wing politics, and police corruption. And of course, we all know who this man is and how he died. My last theme is censorship of arts and the artists. Boardman's Untitled from 1990 is a caricature of a response to the censorship of Robert Mapplethorpe's exhibition. This led to criticism of the NEA, the National Endowment of the Arts, who funded the exhibition. Beckmann's Departure from 1933 to 35. Beckmann, like many artists, was labeled degenerate by Hitler. This work symbolizes the professional annihilation of artists and a subsequent loss of creativity at the regime of Hitler, Beckmann said this, quote, "It's an allegory of the triumphal voyage of the modern spirit through and beyond the agony of the modern world." I end with photos of the Degenerate Art Show from 1937. Hitler was a rejected artist and saw modern artists as a threat to create his new and glorious Germany. Artists were forced to flee, and their works were confiscated, their studios burned. Of the works that were confiscated, Hitler created the Degenerate Art Show. The message was clear, was a clear warning to those who didn't align with his ideologies. Modern art was dangerous. Artists were a threat. Artists were silenced. Creating art that calls for social change is no easy task. It takes a deep concern for humanity, bravery, and a willingness to stand up. It is Herculean, if not even a heroic act. To those artists, do not wane in using your voice. Keep standing up. Continue to be our mirror. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Donnelly. Our next speaker is Lisa Knight. She's a community leader, a change agent, a disruptor of systems, and the first Black female Second Ward City of Grand Rapids Commissioner. Lisa is also the executive director of the Girls Choral Academy, an organization dedicated to the education and mentoring of young girls 1st grade through 12th grade. The Girls Choral Academy has been in existence and is celebrating their 28th year, giving girls a voice. In West Michigan, helping them develop social, emotional skills, cognitive learning, teamwork, confidence, and discipline. She is a multi-business owner, creating programming, building sustainable partnerships, and providing leadership skills, and has been an active member of the arts community for over 30 years. Born and raised in Grand Rapids, Lisa has always been an advocate for change with marginalized communities and business owners. Wow, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm loud anyway, so it really doesn't matter. How you doing this afternoon? I just want to say thank you, first of all, for the invitation to come. And just to share a little bit about the importance of arts in our community, and for me, it's from a number of perspectives. I am an artist, not a painter, writer. I am a performer. So I do performing arts. I do a lot of work with all of the theaters here. I travel professionally, performing, singing, acting, writing, directing, as well as working with these young ladies in this organization. I've been there now for my 4th year, really mentoring and pouring into these young ladies. And so I just thought about, when we think about importance of sharing the stories of reality, right, the things that really happen to people. So we started a summer program a couple of years wanted something to do with their kids for the summer, specifically geared towards what we do in our organization. So not only do we work on choral music, but it's using that music, it's using that tool to teach teamwork and self-confidence and public speaking and organization and self-discipline. So it's all of these things wrapped into what we do with these young ladies. But I had a mother that came to our program this summer. It was the first time for her daughter being a part of this program. And her daughter is in the 3rd grade, and she told me that her daughter tried to commit suicide in the 3rd grade because she didn't feel loved. She didn't feel a part of anything. She didn't know who she was or was able to express some of the things that she was dealing with. She felt left out because her mom and dad had separated and father had another child. And so she felt like no one cared about her, no one saw her. And so she entered into this program and a light shined in this little girl. She began to feel that confidence in her and feel like she was a part of something. And so mom ended up putting her in our full program that goes on during the school year. And she said, I have seen her shine in ways that I haven't before. The funny thing is, my artistic director worked with this young girl at another program. And she said, Lisa, I was really nervous about this little girl because I couldn't see the light in her. And now I see it. Right? That's the importance of what art does in our community. So there's another family who this is the first time, again, them being connected with our organization. And they're from Ukraine. And when they came here, the mother didn't speak any English, neither did the daughter. And so they've been here now 3 years. And the mother came to our summer program, and she showed up every single day. She went on every single field trip. And one day she said to me, are we going to get to ride a bus? And I said, well, probably. Like, what's the question? And she said, as a child in Ukraine, we always watched how in America children would get on the yellow bus. And so I always had a dream that I might be able to ride one of those yellow buses one day. Now we think that that's, who cares, right? That's a trivial thing. And why does the yellow bus matters? This is something that she's seen and as a child never had access to. She felt it was important that you did important things when you got on that bus. And so we took a trip. The bus wasn't yellow, it was white, but it was still the bus. And she had the opportunity to ride that bus. And on one of these trips, we went down to the Grand Rapids Ballet. And we took a tour of the ballet, and they saw how the costumes were made and how productions were put together, and was able to talk to the director down there. And she came to me after and she said, would you go to the ballet with me? And I said, no. My schedule's too busy. However, I'm going to get you tickets to go to the ballet. For free? You would do that for me? Absolutely. Because the opportunity for her to engage and see something that she felt she had no access to changed her mindset about things. It changed her life, right? And so when we think about the arts, it's not just a beautiful painting on the wall. It's not people portraying actors or things on stage, but it's what it does to your mental health. It's the way it makes us think. It makes us ponder things that we may not have thought about in our past. The importance of arts in our community and across this world is life-changing. And right now it's under the threat of not being anymore. Right now, they're trying to cut every single penny out of the budget. Now, for my organization, we get, in a lot of organizations here, we get a little bit of funding from the Michigan Arts Culture Council. It's not a whole lot because they fund arts communities across the state of Michigan. Last year, a lot of those organizations did not get any money and now are under the threat of trying to figure out how do we keep our doors open? How do we continue to serve our public? How do we continue to pour into and bring joy to families who may not find that anywhere else? How do we tell the stories of history and of life and the things that impact us? How do we do that when we don't have doors open for people to come through? This that's happening right now is not about our roads, y'all. We just need to be real about that and be honest. And so I'm asking you and our community to really think about who we are as a people. Because art has been a part of our lives since the beginning of time. It didn't just happen last year, a century ago. It's been around for a long time. And its impact on us as people is life-changing. So when we're in the community and when we're talking about people, when we're talking about our arts and all these other things that are going on, I want us to just be real about our conversations. Because we know what this is really about. And it's not about helping people. That's what we're here for. To make sure that we share the message, that we continue to touch and change lives and create impact in our communities like never before. And it's not just a one-time thing. This is something that we need to go on for generations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. Our next artist is Madeline. She don't say Catherine Chuck as her last name. As a potter, her language is a functional object. I have been a maker to be useful or as personal expression. Grace Catholic, the 7 deadly sins were a standard of what not to do with myself. Combining the two, almost too easy for the art of democracy. There was so much material that quotes on the plates were made directly by Donald Trump, his associates, or his observed behavior. The technique used is scrivedo. The color is applied to a damp piece of unfired clay. Various tools can be used to carve or scratch a design. After firing, a clear glaze is applied and fired once again. Please welcome Madeline.
Thank you. I was just hoping, I hope I don't have to speak after Lisa, because this is really a problem for me. Just because it might be somewhat difficult for you to be able to see the slide, it's easy to read the 7 deadly sins with each sin on a plate. But the quotations that are around them, I gained from numerous sites within news, literature, and on the internet. So that I wanted to make this really important to me that this was not just something someone else said, but something that I could confirm certainly. One thing that's really important to me, and one of the reasons that we are here, besides hoping to be able to create more artists, art does something that is very different from other medias. Art is problem solving. We have, as a personal note, we have 2 children who both were stuck coming to the studio with us, going to shows, exhibitions, and we never told them what they would have to do. We're kind of hoping they'd be artists when they grew up. However, our son became an astrophysicist, went to Princeton, Harvard, and was a postdoc at MIT. And our daughter went to K College and Madison and became a materials science. Our children will tell us that we would see you solve problems all the time, and the best scientists work with solving problems. So I really, I'm very happy to have this platform here today and to listen to all these wonderful speakers, but to encourage the public to know, that art is wonderful, it is my life, but it is also your lives in the doctors and the scientists, the historians, the teachers you create because of their exposure to the arts. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Our next speaker is Diane Carroll Burdick. Diane Carroll Burdick started her color project 4 years ago. She photographed portraits of people dressing in one color and then placed them near that color. There is a collection of 15 colors, and she used the digital files as paint swatches for use in the Descendants of Immigrants flag. Rob Burdick used the aspect ratio of the American flag and then created the image of the flag. He then seeded the colors of the flag from the collection of images. He used Macro-6 program, choosing the size and shape of the images. The collection of portraits is an example from where Americans came. Americans are descendants from immigrants. Immigrants enrich the country. That is who we Americans are. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here and to talk about the project, which I'm so proud of, and I'm so proud to be part of the art of democracy. Anyway, so as Becky told you about, in the very beginning, I did start this color project of humanity. It was during COVID, because as photographers and artists, you know, I couldn't stand being at home like so many of us, no one could, right? But I really missed photographing people, and I missed seeing people, so I thought, okay, maybe I can come up with an idea to photograph, starting with my friends, and let's make it even funner, or more fun, to everyone would dress in one color, the color they chose that made them happy, and then I placed them near that color. So right now I have 15 colors, and I'm still asking for more if anybody's interested. So anyway, so I've got this wonderful photo shoot collection. So as I was invited to be part of the Art of Democracy, I thought, what could this ultimate picture be to hold all these colors? And so you have to know that my intention was to have all these digital files as my paint swatches, as Becky described. I do paint, but I'm kind of try and paint like as a photographer. So all the pictures I took, which are 800 for this particular flag, became part of the picture. It made the picture. So Rob and I, who collaborated with me on this project, Rob Burdick, who teaches graphic design at GRCC, and I'm married to him too. Anyway, we analyzed the flag and thought, okay, the stars and stripes. Where the stars are, that's two colors, blue and white. And then there's 13 stripes. Oh, 13 plus 2 equals 15. I've got 15 colors to work with. So that defined, I guess, you know, the intellectual part of it, starting with it. So we created the flag, and Rob decided, let's give it the same ratio as the American flag. So what he did is we looked at each picture individually, and then Rob seeded the color from a single color portrait. So we looked at, say, Elaine Dalters, who represented orange, and he clicked on the exact orange that I wanted, and he placed it in this mock-up of the flag. And there was the orange, so that the computer program would find it. Anyway, the stripes were red and white, but I thought, I've got 13 colors, what do I do? Well, what makes the red and white come out? Well, it's contrast. So we decided to place these colors in a way on the flag that would show contrast, you know, not kind of bleed into each other or be too similar. So, okay, problem solved, right, Madeline? Okay. So anyway, we moved on and came up with the remaining 13 colors. And the program, it's called the Mosaic Program, and it builds a design based on single images. So you have to have a folder ready for this program to pick the colors. So I had a folder of all 15 colors, and the program picked them all to put in the flag. Rob decided the size, which came up with squares, the amount of color, if it's repeated, etc., etc. So this program did build the flag from digital files that were from the color swatches. So when I first introduced this to my friends, I did tell them they were going to become something, part of something bigger than just a file. Ultimately, and this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was meant to be built into something else. And here it is, which I still find unbelievable that it all came together. in such a beautiful way. So it was always my intent to use this process someday. So the final flag has 800 images, and it took 24 hours on the computer to build it, but it did include 2 different tries. It would blow up. You know, we started with rectangle. No, don't like that. It's got to be square, because the square is very democratic. It's, you know, at every level, there's so many layers, right? So anyway, this final beautiful flag, if it was a TIFF version, those that know these files, it would be 200 megs. As a JPEG, it's about 105 megs. For instance, your phone with an image on it might be 1 to 3 megs. So you can imagine, you know, how big that file is. So in the end, it became just beautiful layers with this rich weaving, like I consider all of humanity, overlapping, living together. And then with the people involved, I said, okay, it's going to be an immigration flag for this art of democracy. So I asked each individual to list where their relatives came from. So they all gave me the list, and it's listed inside the gallery. It was just amazing what everybody's, you know, ancestors, what they were made up of. I mean, we are all probably immigrants from, you know, our people are from someplace else. So this project truly honors resilience. The flag created a space where immigration, migration, cultures, and the love of life come together. So I started with joy, and that's truly like the thread that weaves through everything. So I started with joy, photographing people. I love it. They love dressing up. And so this beautiful dialogue took place between myself and the person being photographed. And then in the end, this joyful, happy flag is presented. And it was a surprise to us because we figured the stripe would be all red, the blue would be all blue, right? The red stripe all red. No, the program knew what we wanted. I believe that. So anyway, it really overlapped, as you can see, like a tapestry. So, you know, that's about it. So thank you so much for listening to the story.
Our last artist today is Sarah Ellis. Ellis painted "Where Do We Go From Here?" to honor her friend and colleague, librarian Christine Batchelor. Batchelor, like many librarians around the country, has been harassed for over 5 years for just doing her job and supporting everyone's right to read. Pictured, a collection of banned books or terms that the viewer cannot make out their titles. A small figure of a man stands in front and turned away from the books to represent a society that has turned away from knowledge. The reference for the man was a 1950s train set figurine and a slight nod to 1950s McCarthyism.
So, where do we go from here? We're all here and we're all coming from different places. What more is art than the biggest showcase of our democracy? All these pieces say something completely different, coming from our own unique perspectives. And that's something that I feel that everyone coming in to view the art needs to remember. And to remember about the artists, that we're each individuals coming from our own unique perspectives. And to remember that as a society as well. We are each our own unique individuals. And to honor each and every person as a whole. A friend of mine, Becky noted, Christine Batchelor, yes, for the past 5 years has been verbally harassed online and in public just for doing her job. She's an amazing person. She works really hard after hours, just making sure that the 7 different libraries in her district are run well and staffed well, and they get the books that they need. In no way, shape, or form is she creating the messaging that receive death threats, and so have I, just for doing our job. And that is something that this art piece, what I wanted to do with that is just to say to a friend, I see you. I'm also going to stand up for you, even if that means that I might also receive some hate for it as well. I think in our society and currently, we need to all do a better job of standing up for one another, and especially when we see something that's not right, is to say, we can do better. And where do we go from here? Hopefully it is a choice to create a more literate society. Without that, we can't have a functioning democracy. We all need to learn to understand, seek understanding instead of division. We need to understand the full history of ourselves and our nation. I like the quote from Margaret Mead that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. And indeed, that's all that ever has. And I, as a teacher as well, want to collectively challenge the public and my students to join the community in creating something better than ourselves, to be active in progress, and to feel like you have a voice, and to give that voice, and to remind ourselves that we can create things just to say, I see you. And your creation can mean anything that is concerning your lived experience. Without that, I don't know who we are, but that's where I think we can go from there.
Thank you, artists. I am so moved. How about you guys? You guys move? We have time, and I'm going to open it up if anyone has questions for any one of the artists. Please feel free to ask a question. Yes.
Does the youth chorus do any public performances?
All the time.
Oh.
Just depends on what we can get scheduled in.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a website?
Yes. www.girlschoralacademy.com.org.
Any other questions? I want to thank everybody for coming today. What a treasure. And Mary, thank you so much for getting this organized.
Thank you.
I want to leave you with one more thought. It's a quote from Leo Wasson, who's a writer. He says, I cannot believe that the purpose of life is to be happy. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be honorable, to be compassionate. It is above all to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have it make some difference that you lived at all. Thanks for coming, everybody.